Is it gonna rain in Dubai today? Just so I know. I have to drive back from Abu Dhabi to Dubai.
No.
It's not raining. It's a sunny day. The UAE government invested more than $20 million in research to start a process called cloud seeding. The UAE performs around 1,000 hours of cloud seeding a year, and it's all controlled by this building in the National Center of Meteorology in Abu Dhabi, where they track the whole process. We met with a cloud seeding expert to explain how the seeding process works.
We wait the forecast. When we have a good, chance for a cloud, we send the aircraft to that location. Go under the cloud. In the first stage of the cloud, there is good updraft at that time. Start to release all the salt, and with the good updraft, of course, it will go inside the cloud. The droplets will become bigger and start to rain.
The center manufactures a salt substance that helps enhance rainfall. They put them in what they call flares.
Could actually spray sulfuric acid in the stratosphere 20 kilometers over our head and use that to stop the planet warming up in a ugly tech fix.
You can spray something into the atmosphere to change.
Spray pollution into the atmosphere to stop it warming.
How do you do this?
You'd start with a fleet of modified business jets and say 20,000 tons of sulfuric acid into the stratosphere every year. And each year you have to put a little more. And this doesn't, in the long run, mean that you can forget about cutting emissions. We will need to rein in emissions.
We'll get to it eventually. So in the meantime, we're shrouding the earth in sulfuric acid.
So people are terrified about talking about this because they're scared that it will prevent us cutting emissions.
Right, and also that it's sulfuric acid.
We put 50 million tons of sulfuric acid in the air now as pollution, and it kills 1 million people a year worldwide.
Okay, but it'll be better if we put more in.
We're talking about 1% of that.
1% more, we're just killing 10,000 more people.
You can do math.
What happens to the sulfuric acid after it's sprayed? Does it just stay up there?
No, it rains down, but it's a tiny addition to what we're already doing.
Is there any possible way this could come back to bite us in the end?
It actually turns out to be an old idea. This was known since President Johnson.
You ever look at those planes up there? They have contrails behind them. Maybe all those planes with the contrails, maybe they're actually spraying chemicals into the atmosphere right now, and Uncle Sam isn't telling us.
Seems extremely unlikely.
That the United States is not telling something to its citizens? That seems extremely likely to me.
You know, they were talking about climate change yesterday, and now we're learning that scientists and researchers are looking at how to change the weather on purpose. That's right. Lasers now could one day manipulate rain and lightning. CBS This Morning contributor Michio Kaku is a physics professor at City College of New York. Professor, nice to see you. Extraordinary seeing Al Gore and Bill Clinton there together with Charlie, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, they did not get into this discussion, though. But it is fascinating. I mean, lasers, really, to change the weather?
That's right. Well, as Mark Twain once famously said, everyone complains about the weather, but no one ever does anything about it. Well, instead of doing a rain dance, we physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky to actually precipitate rain clouds and actually bring down lightning bolts. This is potentially a game changer.
But this is experimental.
It's experimental. However, in the laboratory so far it works. When you have water vapor and you have dust particles or ice crystals, you can precipitate rain. It condenses around the seeds. These seeds can also be created by laser beams. By firing trillion-watt lasers, you rip apart the electrons, creating what are called ions, and these ions act like seeds, like dust particles, bringing down rain and even lightning.
Go ahead.
Well, this fascinates me in part because, too, I remember reading the stories that China had used this during the Olympics, that the USSR had used this after Chernobyl to create rain clouds. I mean, did those...
If you had a bunch of chemicals and you built a tower, could you make it rain?
No.
Well, that's the subject of tonight's Weird Weather. In the early 1900s, there was a gentleman who said he could make it rain. Charles M. Hatfield. Well, he said for $50 he could deliver. Well, Los Angeles farmers said, we need rain. Will you make it rain? He did. And they were so happy, they paid him $100. Well, there was a lake in the area, Lake Hemet. He said for $4,000 he could deliver 4 inches of rain. So he made this tower and he mixed up some chemicals. Guess what? 11 inches of rain fell and it rose 22 feet. Operators say it was the best bargain they'd ever had. There was another area that needed it. San Diego City contracted him to fill Lake Marina in 1 year. If he did it, $10,000. If not, he didn't get a penny. January 1st, he put his towers up and started sending his chemicals away. January 5th, it began to rain. January 10th, heavy rain kept going. And by January 15th, it had been a downpour for nearly 5 days.
Okay, so the rain did come, and apparently it was Hatfield that was doing it. But look what happened after that. On the 19th, Marina Reservoir filled. The 26th, record-breaking rains were still falling, and the next day, dams were rupturing, huge amounts of water pouring out of the mountains, heading into San Diego. 20 people lost their lives. 35 inches of rain fell that month. Well, you can imagine there were lawsuits in the millions. The city council says, nope, we're not going to pay. Hatfield said, I'll settle for $4,000. Council said no. It went to the California Supreme Court. They ruled that was an act of God. Well, if that's the case, neither Hatfield nor the city was liable for the damages. Also, if it was an act of God, then that means Hatfield didn't do it. City council? Nope. They say they're not going to pay. Well, Charles Hatfield was known by many names. He was a cloud coaxer, a water magician, a moisture accelerator, the Wizard of Hope, a pluviculturalist, the great precipitator, but most of the time he was just known as Hatfield the Rainmaker.
My.
Should have bottled those chemicals.
Well,
maybe not.
It was a secret, and even his brother didn't know, but the scientist of the day said there's no way that a man could do that. Well, he asked, well, it kept raining. Well, he was guessing lucky. Well, he guessed really, really lucky.
Yeah, he really did.
But didn't get his money.
Well, no, he didn't get his money. We'll have to find out what happened to him someday.
One step forward and a 2 steps back, laying my neck on a railroad track. The rain got heavy and the levee done broke. I'm running from death, tugging at my soul. One step forward and a 2 steps back, laying my neck on a railroad track. The rain got heavy and the levee done broke. I'm running from death, tugging at my soul. Freedom is a river that flows, no matter which way the cold wind blows. Love ain't no Eddie of road, it's a stone cold killer with the devil in tow. Whoa, 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 whoa. Ain't nobody coming to save my soul. Dims, the old brick walls are caving in. They come in waves and they cave in fast. How do you run from the man in black?
Let's take a look at what's going on in California here. This is roughly where Vandenberg Air Force Base is. You see that emanating out towards the coast from there? Watch, boom. See that right there? Those pulses that look like the Wi-Fi symbol. Yeah, that's microwave energy. It's coming down here as well, but it's a different pattern. You see that? They're shooting out into the ocean to dissipate any moisture that might be coming to save us from their heat wave that they're inducing. And you see this massive pulse going from east to west, and all these NexRed towers here. But you can pull up on a map and see the positions and see how they're radiating. It's not birds, honey. It's not weather. See? Fixed position. You see the towers, the black in the center. All right, it's emanating outwards from that. We're being microwaved.
Y'all ready to have y'all's mind blown, man? August 11th, 1987 HAARP patent. method and apparatus for altering a region in the Earth's atmosphere, ionosphere. These dates over here, is this the 80s? Huh. Polarized electromagnetic radiation is transmitted upward in a direction substantially parallel to and along a field line which extends through a region of the plasma to be altered. The plasma to be altered. Here's your little figures and whatnot, just basically showing what it is. Look below me. Directed energy weapons. Devices that direct a beam of high energy content toward a target for incapacitating or destroying the target. Well, so this was in the 80s. It's pretty cool patent. So fact checkers, before y'all freak out with the fact check, I literally just read the Google patent. I'm not saying it's anything. I'm not saying nothing. My shirt's on the inside out. I don't really care this morning, man. I just saw it. I thought it was really cool. So I decided to read the patent. There's no underlying context with this or anything, fact checkers.